Have you ever thought about why so many people don't live much longer after reaching 80? It's not just about luck. There are four main factors that prevent most people from staying healthy and strong as they age. While turning 80 is an achievement, maintaining your strength beyond that age requires more than just time. It demands awareness. These four factors work silently but powerfully against the body as we grow older, often unnoticed until the damage is done. Today, we're diving into these four reasons why many people struggle to live a long and healthy life after 80. These aren't just hypothetical ideas. They're supported by decades of medical studies and real-life experiences. Once you understand these factors, you'll realize that living longer isn't about trying to cheat death. It's about protecting your health, independence, and peace of mind for as long as possible. Stick with us to the end, because the fourth reason may surprise you and could be the most crucial one of all. Let's begin. Reason 1. Silent inflammation that accelerates aging. One of the greatest threats to our health after the age of 80 doesn't come from external forces or visible injuries. It arises quietly from within. This condition is known as inflammaging, a term used by doctors to describe the chronic, low-grade inflammation that slowly but steadily damages our cells, tissues, and organs over time, without causing noticeable symptoms at first. It's a silent and insidious process that builds up over the years, often due to factors like stress, poor diet, lack of physical activity, insufficient sleep, and even exposure to environmental toxins. At first, the body may not feel any pain or discomfort, but gradually, this internal inflammation begins to take its toll on key organs and systems like the heart, brain, joints, and immune system. For example, take George, who is 82. Despite not smoking or drinking and walking daily, he still felt tired, stiff, and mentally foggy, even though his medical tests showed no immediate issues. After visiting a specialist, he discovered that his blood had high levels of inflammatory markers. There was no major disease, just the slow, persistent effect of inflammation that had been accumulating in the background for years. The body's ability to handle inflammation naturally decreases with age, meaning that lifestyle factors that we might have overlooked in our 50s and 60s, like poor sleep, a sedentary lifestyle, and eating processed foods, begin to have a much greater impact after 80. This persistent inflammation chips away at our body's resilience, increasing the risk of cognitive decline, heart disease, and frailty. The worst part is that most people are unaware of this process until it becomes too late to address. However, there's good news. Some of the most effective solutions to combat inflammation are simple, accessible, and free. Adopting a diet rich in whole foods, taking daily walks, and making other small, consistent changes can gradually reduce the inflammation in the body. Though these changes won't produce immediate results, each small effort adds up over time. By lowering inflammation, your body will have a much better chance to stay strong and healthy well beyond the age of 80. Reason 2. Muscle loss that leads to weakness and falls. Starting around the age of 60, the body naturally begins to lose muscle mass each year, and by the time we reach 80, this process accelerates significantly. This gradual loss of muscle, known as sarcopenia, may not be immediately noticeable. It doesn't start with dramatic changes, but rather with small, seemingly insignificant signs, struggling to open a jar, standing up more slowly from a chair, or avoiding stairs because they feel just a bit more difficult. The real issue, however, is that muscle isn't just for strength. It plays a critical role in maintaining balance, supporting joints, regulating blood sugar, and managing metabolism. When muscle mass starts to decline, the risk of falls, bone fractures, and losing one's independence increases rapidly. Take Frank, for example, who's 84. Despite being sharp and cheerful, living alone and staying active, one afternoon he tripped over a rug and broke his hip. He had always considered himself steady on his feet, but after the fall, he realized how much strength he had lost in just the last few years. Strength he had thought he still had. What makes muscle loss so dangerous after the age of 80 is how quickly it affects every part of your life. One fall can lead to weeks of bed rest, and that time in bed can cause even further weakness. Then come the mobility aids, like a walker, which lead to a gradual loss of freedom and a slow shrinking of a once active life. But here's the good news. Muscle loss doesn't have to be inevitable. With consistent effort, it can be slowed and, in many cases, reversed. Walking regularly, using light weights or resistance bands a few times a week, eating enough protein, and engaging in gentle stretching can all help to maintain muscle mass. It's never about becoming a bodybuilder. It's about staying steady, mobile, and strong enough to continue doing the things you love, whether that's gardening, grocery shopping, or simply getting out of bed safely each morning. Muscle is your body's silent protector, and after 80, it could very well be the one thing that helps you live longer, not just in terms of years, but in terms of the quality of life you experience. Reason 3, poor sleep that weakens the body and mind. As we age, sleep patterns naturally change, but unfortunately these changes are often for the worse. Many older adults struggle with falling asleep, staying asleep, or achieving deep restorative rest, and by the time we reach 80, the effects of poor sleep become even more noticeable, both in the body and the mind. Initially, you may notice small signs such as feeling more tired during the day, forgetting simple things more often, or getting irritated more easily. But beneath these symptoms lies a much deeper issue. The body's repair processes happen during sleep. The brain clears out waste, the immune system resets, and the body restores itself. When sleep becomes shallow or fragmented, these vital processes are disrupted. Let's consider Alice, who is 86. At first, she didn't think much about waking up 3 or 4 times a night. She simply thought it was normal at her age. But over time, she began to notice that her memory was slipping, her energy levels were dropping, and she was catching more colds. It wasn't until her doctor explained that sleep wasn't just about resting, but was essential for brain function and immune health that she realized how important it was. Once Alice focused on improving her sleep habits, like keeping a consistent bedtime, reducing caffeine and alcohol intake, and getting natural light in the morning, her clarity and stamina slowly returned. Many people assume that poor sleep is just something they have to live with as they get older, but that's not necessarily true. There are simple strategies to improve sleep, such as limiting screen time before bed, creating a cool, dark, and quiet sleep environment, and engaging in light physical activity during the day. After 80, good sleep becomes as important as a healthy diet or staying active. It impacts how clearly you think, how steady you walk, how strong your immune system remains, and how much energy you have to enjoy the life you've built. It's not just about sleeping longer, it's about sleeping better. Making sleep a priority might be one of the smartest things you can do to stay healthy and strong. Reason 4, loneliness and the loss of daily purpose. There's an often overlooked danger that affects more people over the age of 80 than we may realize, and it's not caused by a virus or a disease. It's loneliness, and it doesn't just hurt the heart emotionally, it also affects the body physically. Research has shown that social isolation and the lack of daily purpose can actually shorten life expectancy, sometimes more than chronic diseases do. As people age, their world tends to shrink. Friends pass away, children move away, and physical limitations make it harder to get out. Slowly, many seniors find themselves spending more and more time alone, not just physically, but emotionally too. Take Bill, for instance. He's 88. His wife passed away 5 years ago, and his children live in other states. He spends his days watching TV, preparing his meals, and keeping his house clean. But he admits that there are days when he doesn't speak to a single person. What he misses most isn't the noise or activity. It's the feeling of being needed. He longs for a sense that someone is waiting for him, that his presence matters. The human heart is wired for connection, and after 80, when social roles begin to fade, retirement, caregiving, neighborhood involvement, what many people lose isn't just interaction, it's their sense of identity. That quiet question of why should I get up today can become overwhelming, and over time it starts to affect both mental and physical health. But the good news is that purpose doesn't have to come from grand achievements. It can be as simple as watering plants, writing a note to a loved one, making a phone call in the morning, feeding the birds, or helping a neighbor. These small acts can bring rhythm, meaning, and joy into life. And even though reaching out to others may feel awkward at times, it often brings light not only to you, but also to those you connect with. Solitude is not the same as loneliness, and finding peace and quiet is a strength. However, when someone feels invisible or unneeded, the body responds negatively. So if you're over 80 or know someone who is, ask yourself this simple question: what brings you purpose right now? And how can you protect that purpose as if it were medicine? Because in many ways it truly is. Final thoughts. If you've made it this far, take a moment to reflect, not out of fear, but with clarity. Living beyond 80 is a true gift, but the truth is that many people don't make it to this age in good health. It's not that they didn't care, but rather because they weren't aware of the quiet forces working against them. Silent inflammation, muscle loss, poor sleep, and emotional isolation. These issues often creep in little by little, and by the time they are fully realized, the damage may already be done. But here's the key: knowledge is power. The purpose of this video isn't to cause worry. It's to empower you with the information you need to make small but steady changes that can have a big impact on your life. The choices you make this week, this month, and this year can shape how you move, think, and feel when you're 80 and beyond. So, what stood out to you the most? Was it how inflammation can silently build up over time? Or perhaps how quickly muscle loss can impact your strength and balance? Maybe it was the reminder that sleep is much more than just rest, or that emotional connections are just as important as any medication. Whatever it was, don't let it be just another piece of information. Let it serve as a turning point, a decision to keep showing up for your body, your mind, and your sense of purpose. Aging isn't about fading away. It's about focusing on what truly matters, protecting it, and letting go of the rest. You've earned the right to live this stage of life with wisdom and strength. Don't settle for anything less. Thank you for sticking with us today. We would love to hear from you. Please leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating content that informs and inspires. Thanks again for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.